Oxygen on Kilimanjaro. Do you need it? At all altitudes, the percentage of oxygen in the air is constant at 21%. However, the number of oxygen molecules changes due to air pressure. At sea level, air is compressed, squeezing oxygen molecules together, making it denser. But at higher altitude, air pressure is lower, and oxygen molecules spread apart, making air thinner. The low oxygen at high altitude is what causes altitude sickness, or acute mountain sickness, AMS. Symptoms of altitude sickness begin to arise starting at around 8,000 feet and become more pronounced the higher you go. The precise mechanism is not well understood, but it's clearly related to hypoxia and some other factors such as effort and innate susceptibility. Altitude sickness is the main cause of fatalities while climbing Kilimanjaro. High-altitude pulmonary edema and high-altitude cerebral edema are two fatal forms of AMS that can strike on the mountain. Therefore, many Kilimanjaro operators bring oxygen as a precaution in order to treat climbers who have developed moderate or severe altitude sickness. Ultimate Kilimanjaro carries oxygen for emergency purposes on every climb. This oxygen is only used to treat a stricken climber in conjunction with immediate descent. In other words, it is administered only in a rescue scenario and as part of evacuation off the mountain. Now, there are some operators who advertise the use of a personal oxygen system to assist climbers on Mount Kilimanjaro. This is not standard practice. Supplementary oxygen is normally only used at extreme altitudes above 23,000 feet. Heights greater than 26,000 feet are inhospitable for sustained human life. These elevations are sometimes referred to as the death zone. The top of Kilimanjaro is 19,341 feet tall. Therefore, supplemental oxygen is not needed to climb Kilimanjaro. In fact, supplemental oxygen is rarely used on the peak. There are good reasons why using oxygen in this manner is not advised, even if it is available. When one develops symptoms of moderate or severe altitude sickness, it's not because the body is trying to make it unpleasant for the climber without merit. It's because the body recognizes that the person is unable to function at the current altitude and does not want the person to climb any higher. The body is saying, stop climbing. Not listening to the body is how most people get in trouble on the mountain. Using oxygen for the purpose of ascending ignores the body's clear message to maintain or descend altitude. By using supplemental oxygen, a climber is effectively stopping his or her body's attempts to acclimatization by raising the oxygen content of the air being breathed. Let me restate that. The use of supplemental oxygen delays or stops altogether the acclimatization process. The body no longer feels the need to make adaptations to a low oxygen environment because the supplemental oxygen provides a relatively oxygen-rich environment. And while the body was unable to acclimatize to the current altitude, the oxygen user is making things riskier by climbing even higher. It's a dangerous situation to be dependent on the oxygen supply to remain healthy. Lastly, what is the point of climbing Kilimanjaro with supplemental oxygen? The difficulty of Kilimanjaro lies within its altitude. As a trek, it's not difficult by hiking standards if you remove the challenge of high altitude. While some people climb Kilimanjaro just to say they did it, regardless of the manner in which it was done, it's probably not much of an achievement if you put the mountain at sea level. And this is what supplemental oxygen does. The bottom line is that supplemental oxygen is potentially dangerous when used to climb higher, is wholly unnecessary on Kilimanjaro, and is against the spirit and challenge of climbing Kilimanjaro. You don't need oxygen to climb Kilimanjaro. I personally think it shouldn't be used, and that's why we don't offer it. I'm Kevin with Ultimate Kilimanjaro. Please like if you found this video helpful and subscribe for more videos. Don't forget to join our Facebook discussion group to talk about all things Kilimanjaro. I'll see you on the summit.